Welcome in. Welcome in to Lock and Live College Football Week 4 edition with Uncle Phil and Smooth Andy. They're coming from you live from Vegas. Thanks everyone for joining us this Saturday morning. Uncle Phil, Smooth Andy, how are you guys doing?
Good. My high school coach used to say, sickness is not death. And I got sick last weekend over the games, but we're still alive. That's what we do. We've had 2 out of 3 winning weekends. We're ready to turn the ship around today. So Andy, what are your thoughts today?
My thoughts are cannot wait to right the ship after last week. Pro went well for me, but college went badly. I hate these bets today, but sometimes that's the best thing. So we'll see.
Yep.
Yeah, most definitely. Before we jump into locking it in live, we have to kind of touch on last week. Obviously, really hot start, Uncle Phil in college football. And then last week, he kind of gave it all back to the house, but it's evened out. Week 4, what do you see now where you're like, hey, I'm dialed in. I'm ready to, right the ship, and let's start putting together weeks like we saw first 2 weeks college football.
Yeah, look, I mean, you learn something again every week. Like last week, it was if you literally just took all the top 10 teams, you had a really good weekend. So probably the public had a really good weekend for handicappers. You didn't. You typically take dogs. I took a lot of dogs last week and just got annihilated. Like I went 1-8 in my notebook. I can't even remember the last time I've done something like that. But it was horrendous. But I think I've learned something just from an NIL perspective. There's just a difference in rosters, and when you have teams that have good rosters and they have depth on them, you just have to take them, especially looking ahead at games the following week. Teams, I feel like there's a lot of big teams this year that don't have really good schedules or have really weak schedules. And you see that they're playing every week, so they're not really having a letdown week right before the season starts. So something to look at, something to kind of expect. I mean, Texas, a lot of people have taken, even professionals have taken Texas every week because there's not much drop off between between Quinn Ewers and between Manning, Arch Manning, their backup. And so it's easy when the backup comes back in, they're still going to produce. Now it's a little different for Texas bettors. You're just kind of stuck with Arch Manning. There's definitely a bigger drop off between Arch Manning and the backup quarterback, the third backup quarterback for Texas. So a little bit different angle there today. But again, you just learn a lot each week. I can't say I'm just super crazy about this weekend, but or college picks, but absolutely love NFL tomorrow. So I've got 6 picks in my notebook today. 7, excuse me, and kind of pulling it in for my usual 9. But tomorrow I'm ready, and I feel good about the 7. And I feel great about tomorrow's NFL schedule. What do you think, Andy?
Pretty much the same as you. I've got, I think I just counted about 10 picks today, 3 for the show and the rest for Twitter. But I'm the same way as you. Like last week, even though I had a rough week, I went 3-7-1. I think I had a 5-star, like 3 4-stars, and a couple 3-stars. This week I've got like 1 4-star, 2 3s, and the rest are all 2s. These are all very like, if you want to join me, you can. If not, understood. I just weeks like this, even though they give me no confidence going in, often end up being the ones that turn out the best. Because I thought I was in good shape last week, and as you said, favorites were hitting like crazy, and that's bad news for me usually. So, but as to tomorrow, I'm totally with you. I love tomorrow. Tomorrow's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yep.
Well, thanks for the game plan. what's the first place we're heading, Uncle Phil, today?
Yeah, we're gonna head to Baton Rouge, where UCLA, who could be one of the worst Power 4 teams, maybe even the worst Power 4 team in the country. I feel like that UCLA, last week was just free money at home when Indiana came to town. I had planned on taking it all week. I don't know why I left it off and forgot about it, but I did. And but I won't forget about them today. They're coming back home to LSU. LSU, this is their truly first home game. The first week, as you remember, went to Vegas last week at South Carolina. I really like Nussmeier. I think he'll put up some points. I think the defense is salty enough to where they'll hold UCLA down. I like LSU in the points. That line's come down off 24. It's 21.5. It's too much for me to resist. I'm going to take LSU minus 21.5 for my first best bet. My second best bet is I'm going to go to Oklahoma, where I'm going to watch Tennessee take on Oklahoma in Norman. And, I think that I'm trying to say this correctly. Nico Iamaleava, he's doing really well right now. I think this is really his first true road game, even though he played NC State. That was at a neutral site in Charlotte. This will be his first hostile environment, open up the SEC schedule. And I think that's going to play a little tight for him. The problem with OU is they're 108th in offense this year. Their offensive line's a weakness, which is really a strength for Tennessee. For me, I see this game low scoring, probably Tennessee pulling away late. But for me, I'm going to stick with the under 57.5 as my second best bet today.
Sweet, I like it. Looking forward to that game. It's kind of a game today. Smooth Andy, where are you heading today? I know you have 10 on Twitter, but 3 here.
Yeah, and I don't feel great about any of them, so just take it with a grain of salt. I'll start with the one where Phil and I are going head-to-head. I have UCLA this week. I do not like them one bit, but like I said, oftentimes that's the best formula I could ask for. Very lopsided betting on LSU, as you can expect, and I like there's got to be a point where you say there's value on UCLA. They're getting over 3 touchdowns, got the hook too. So we'll see. I'm going to risk my my meager wages on that. The next one is going to be Miami of Ohio against Notre Dame. I just this hits a lot of spots for Notre Dame. Look ahead, and everybody's all the money and all the bets are on Notre Dame, and I like to be on the other team in situations like that. And finally, I've got Marshall. They're playing Ohio State. Don't like the feeling of this at all because it just feels like Ohio State, LSU, Tennessee, teams like that can just blow anybody away by 50 points without breaking a sweat. But my number said take Marshall this week, so I'm going to be on Marshall. This is a look-ahead spot for Ohio State too. So, yeah,
just to add a little bit more color to that UCLA game, and obviously Andy and I are going head-to-head on this one. Always wish Andy the best in all his picks except for this one, but I understood why he took it. Could be a little bit of a letdown spot for LSU after coming off a big win over South Carolina. Just to expand a little bit on my logic is that I feel like Chip Kelly really just left this program barren as far as talent. It's no secret he doesn't like to recruit. That's why he left and went to Ohio State as offensive coordinator. He just doesn't have. He was told didn't have to recruit as much, and that's the part he hates. So that's why he left. I feel like Deshaun Foster has been dealt a tough hand, but I also think that he hasn't done a great job himself. His first opening press conference. I don't know if any of you saw that, but it was pretty rough this summer, and I didn't have a lot of confidence in him. So again, I'm not a big Brian Kelly guy. I think he's probably one of the most overrated coaches in college. But I do give me the better coach, Give me the far better quarterback, and I'm going to cover the spread, or at least I hope I will. But, Andy and I are certainly going head-to-head on that. Certainly don't blame him for taking what he took.
Absolutely. Well, it should be an interesting game to follow. To Andy's point, it seems like there's a lot of tickets on LSU, but I mean UCLA is just an awful team. So we'll see who comes out ahead between the two of you.
I love any game, Matt, where you look at it and you say, well, who in their right mind would bet UCLA?
Yep.
And I like being on UCLA in those games.
Yep.
I'm not in my right mind, I guess, but I mean, that makes me feel good. Anyway.
Sweet. Well, let's jump to the questions. We got some good ones that have came in. First on the line, we got Donnie Johnson from Twitter. He says, what do you all think of LSU over 55.5? LSU game over 55.5.
Smooth Andy, I know you don't play many totals, but I'll let you start if you want to weigh in.
I actually don't. I hadn't even thought about that total much at all, so I'd rather not even clutter it up with a bunch of jumbled nonsense. So sorry to leave you hanging, but yeah, I hadn't even really looked at that number with any intent to consider a bet.
Yeah, I've thought about it, and I looked at it, and if it's going to cover, I think LSU is going to have to do it all, and I don't look for LSU to play at starters the full game. I just don't think UCLA's a very good team, and I don't think they can score. I'd be a little hesitant on that one, just because, again, I think it's a heavy lift for LSU. I'm going to look and see who LSU has to play next week, just to be sure of what I'm thinking. Man, my Wi-Fi signal's not very strong here.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, look it up, because that would hinge a little bit on that as well. They may go out. Their starters may go out early.
LSU is playing next week. They are playing USA, so Southern Alabama.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a producer's job to do that kind of thing, Matt. Good job. Well done.
Yeah. So I wouldn't take the over in that game, but it'd be just a stay away from me, just because, again, very physical game last week. I would expect LSU to try to get healthy, but again, also I think UCLA is just terrible, and I think it'd be too heavy a lift. I like the spread in that one much better than I do the total.
Definitely. Well, thanks, Donnie, for the question. Next up, we're going to Andrew. Andrew, good to see you, brother. He's asking about Army -7, the best rushing attack in the country versus porous Rice defense. Any thoughts on that one?
Smooth Andy, you got any thoughts on that one?
Well, the public loves Army, that's for sure. 85% according to Don Best. Open 4, it's up to 7.5 in some places. I don't know anything about Army this year. Obviously, I know they run the option. They all do. Although I guess Air Force runs kind of a different option. But Army and Navy, we all know what we're getting. If Rice, I would really like it if Rice didn't have a bye week last week, and I doubt they did, but I don't know for a fact that they didn't. That's always a big thing for me with option teams is their opponent going to have more than a week to prepare for them, because that usually takes more than a week to really figure out your responsibilities as a defender of the option. That's why option teams in bowl games don't do very well, because the other teams had a month or two to prepare for it. So as long as Rice rather did not have a bye week last week, I think Army sounds like a good bet if Rice's defense is as bad as you suggest.
Yeah, I really like the Armed Forces this year. Army, Navy both have really good teams this year. I think they're sneaky good. I think a lot of people haven't really caught on to it yet. I like them. My concern is that the overwhelming public is all over Army on this one, and it just makes me go the other way. But I just don't have the guts to bet on Rice, so that's why it's a stay away game for me.
Sweet. We got another question from Andrew. He wants to know about Vandy Mizzou, 19.5. Vandy feeling left out from contender convo. Maybe makes a statement.
Yeah, for me, it's a lot of points. I think that line's around 20 now. It's come down a little bit. I think Vandy probably is good enough to stay within that. I haven't figured out Missouri yet, and so they're not one of my teams I'm betting on. Hopefully, I can watch those two teams today. I was high on Vandy initially after week one, after their win against Virginia Tech at home, but I just haven't seen enough Missouri to kind of know who they are. Certainly, Boston College was a good play last week. Was the play. I think Boston College, I love Castellanos, I believe is his name, quarterback for BC. I really like that guy, and I think, good quarterbacks make it happen. I just don't know how many weapons, how many players, impact players that Missouri lost last year to see if they're the same team. I know they're ranked pretty high, but I just need to see them play, and I just haven't really watched them for a full game. Hopefully I can do that today.
And just to butt in real quick, I've got Missouri as one of my lower down on the ticket plays. I don't normally like favorites in general, and normally I would have thought that I'd want to be all over Vanderbilt, but the public's on Vanderbilt today, and there's a little reverse line movement as well. One of my things is when favorites are getting a small percentage of the bets, and Missouri's at 29% last I checked. That's usually a hit too, because people are piling up on the concept that Missouri is not very good based on what they've seen so far, and they might be right. But that perception, I think, drives it to where a favorite is not being given the majority of the bets, and that usually is a misperception. It's something just to look for. But there was some reverse line movement that opened minus 19. It's up to minus 20 at 29% of the bets. That's not a reason alone to bet it, but as I said, I have other reasons, so it's on mine.
Yeah,
Sweet.
I could see that. Look, I mean, I think the public just hasn't really caught on to how good I think Boston College is. I think Castellanos is a really good quarterback, and I could certainly see that. I think it probably drove that line down, and people thought, oh, well, Vandy's going to cover. And again, typically in your first opening conference games, you typically do take the underdog, but I can certainly see why you'd lean toward Missouri. But again, I just don't have enough data to actually depend on it yet.
Gotcha. Well, we got rapid fire questions coming in. Next on the line, we got Mike McLean from Twitter. Boston College minus 6.5. MSU missing 2 of their receivers. Any thoughts on that one?
Man, Michigan State's a popular dog on this one. I'm a big Boston College fan, but man, a lot of money's coming in on Michigan State. It's a stay away from game for me, but I can't wait to watch it. Smooth Andy, you have a flag or two on that one?
It's a stay away from me too, but I would. Boston College is good. I mean, I haven't seen Michigan State much this year. I believe they're undefeated. I think they're 2-0, but I don't think they've really taken on anybody important yet. This might be a barometer for both teams, I think, and I think Boston College just has that name that just doesn't sound competitive nowadays in the last 10, 20 years, even though they are, they pop up here and there. I just think everybody sees Michigan State, one of the sort of second tier powerhouses of the Big Ten, and then they see Boston College usually a middle of the road or lower in the ACC, and I think Michigan State's got to be better. So if you're looking at the BC angle, and it sounds like you are, I think that's probably the way I'd be leaning as well.
Yep, I totally agree. I think Bill O'Brien has I think that's turned out to be a great hire. He's always been a great coach. He bombed out with Houston with the Texans, but I think that there was definitely a rift between him and upper management there. So at an ownership with the Texans, and I think that kind of contributed that. But make no mistake, Bill O'Brien's a really good coach, and pair him up with a good quarterback this year, and it certainly shows.
Yeah, it should be an interesting game. We'll take 2 more questions here. And guys, thanks for joining us. Thanks for all these questions. Really appreciate it. These are great. K-Tau on X. What are your thoughts on North Carolina minus 10.5 at home against JMU? Third string quarterback for North Carolina.
I looked at that game, and my instinct was to go with JMU exactly for the reasons that you said. But I just don't know as much about JMU as I want to. It's so early in the season. Smooth Andy, do you know anything about that game at all? Because maybe you can give a better informed take than I can on this one right now.
Unfortunately, no, and I'm checking why. And yeah, sure enough, the betting's pretty split. Everything sort of makes sense the way that it is. 2-0 versus 3-0, but I don't think either of these teams has played anybody significant yet. So I don't really think I know who these teams are yet. Today might tell me something. It's hard to know how James Madison will be without Kurt Cignetti. And North Carolina, just again, I know they played. They're 3-0. I can see it right here, but I can't remember who they played. So I'm guessing they didn't play any big world beaters. So we'll see. I just really can't. I wouldn't want to push anybody in one direction or the other right now because this is not one that showed up at all. So
what's the total on that game?
The total is 48.5.
40 what?
48.5.
Gosh, I probably lean toward the under. I think North Carolina is just awful offensively. I mean, it feels like a lower scoring game to me. If I played anything, I'd probably lean toward the under on that one. That's about as much as I can give you on that one.
Well, thanks for the question, K-Tow.
Yeah.
We'll take two more here if you guys have time quickly. Brian C. on Twitter, Arkansas Auburn. Who are you on, Uncle Phil?
Yeah, that one's in the notebook. I think this is a weird game. Arkansas was favored by 3 last year, and Auburn just came in, and this was at Fayetteville, and Auburn just blew them out. Wasn't even competitive. Of course, there were locker room issues last year with Arkansas. It's just terrible. I think Arkansas is a lot better than people think they are. They were down last week, didn't cover for us, unfortunately. But they did the week before against Oklahoma State for us. Should have won that game and should have won that easily. Just made stupid mistakes. And for me, it's why I just don't fully trust Arkansas. I did see value on the total, and that's what I put in the notebook on that one. But as far as playing a play on this one, Arkansas is probably the better team in this one. And I certainly lean toward Arkansas. It didn't make the notebook, but it was on the big board. Like I said, I start with about 20 games, and then I pare it down, got down to 7. The Arkansas game didn't make it, but I would expect Arkansas to win. I think they've got the better team. Auburn's already changing quarterbacks. It's not because of injury. It's, when you change quarterbacks this early and it's not because of injury, it's because of performance, you're already kind of heading in a spiral. And I think their quarterback's good. Their freshman quarterback, I like him. I think he's got a lot of talent, but the SEC is a little bit different, and that's why I lean toward Arkansas. But I just don't trust Sam Pittman and this coaching staff to make the right decisions. I think there's some key injuries from Arkansas, and so it pulled me off that game from a side perspective.
Thanks for the question, Brian. We'll take one more here before we wrap up. Maryland Nova. I'm sure you guys don't have a strong opinion on that one, but I did see there's a lot of tickets on Maryland. When you go follow John Ewing, MGM. He's got all the data. I know Smooth Andy sends me his stuff sometimes. You can speak to that one, Smooth and Uncle Phil.
Yeah, there's actually 2 follows that I have that are probably my most my favorites, and that's John Ewing, who's at MGM. He puts out like where they're at in the morning on Saturdays and on Sundays to show you where all the betting splits are. And then the other one is of course I forget his name. Patrick, help me out here, Uncle Phil.
That's Patrick Everson or Everson.
Everson, I think it's Everson. Yeah, Patrick Everson. He also cites John Ewing's data, but he also has other sources, and he goes through this thing. He calls it a tweet storm every Saturday and Sunday morning, where he just lets you know who are the most bets, most money, this and that for all these games that he's getting from all these people at different casinos around Vegas. So it's a nice little amalgamation there as well. As for Maryland, they're playing. You said Nova. Is that Villanova? That's probably why I didn't see Maryland on my things. It's because it's FCS, right? I sincerely, I'm sorry. I have no opinion on that. I haven't thought about that at all. I'm guessing if you're asking about it, you might be thinking Villanova's frisky. That's probably what I'm reading into this, because they might be one of those teams that you're hoping it's going to surprise the world and beat an FBS team. But I really haven't looked at that at all, I'm afraid. You guys are giving us some tough ones today. I mean, geez, Rice and Villanova today are the question.
Yep. Well, we'll wrap up there. I know you guys want to get to the book.
Yep.
This game's kick off in an hour. So, Uncle Phil, Smooth Andy, any parting thoughts before we take off? And you guys enjoy Vegas.
Smooth Andy?
Not trying to rub anybody's face in it or gloat or anything, but I'm really looking forward to sitting in a sports book and watching football for about 8 hours straight. So I can't wait to get down there.
Yeah. Always good Saturday when we be at the book. Totally agree. Look, I'm staying light today after last week's horrendous no book for me. I'm going to ease my way back in with 7 plays, ones that I feel the strongest about. I probably felt strongest about 10, but I tried to whittle it down even further just so I could, try to guarantee myself a winning weekend and in college. But I'm keeping a lot of powder dry today because I really love tomorrow's games in the NFL, and I can't wait to get to that. But guys, good luck today if you play. I assume all of you that are listening probably will, and be sure and join us back tomorrow because Andy and I love tomorrow and we're excited about it. But as always, guys, have a good day. Let's have a day and let's roll.